football, college football. I'm your host, Grayson Grunhafer, and we're wrapping up our How Do You Win the College Football Playoff feature. We're talking about Georgia today. How does Georgia win the college football playoff? They're the favorite to win it all, right? So conventional wisdom is you just roll the football out there and, probably 7 times out of 10, they're going to win the whole thing. Maybe 6 times out of 10, something along those lines. But getting all this preparation time with Kirby Smart, getting this opportunity to review film and kind of evaluate the teams that are in the college football playoff, especially their first opponent, Ohio State, I think is going to do wonders for them. And to be honest with you, the whole fact that Georgia's getting to watch the film that Ohio State just put out there against Michigan, that's a problem. That is an absolute problem because I think Georgia can take advantage very similarly to the way Michigan did. And that's with just a daunting rushing attack and then a passing attack that just takes advantage of the big plays. And frankly, the last time we saw this Georgia team play this past weekend, they were just torching LSU up and down the field, hung a 50-burger on them, and they looked really good. They looked explosive. They were doing kind of whatever they wanted to do. And that just leads you into these practices that they're going to get over the next month before they play in the college football playoff. It just makes you wonder, what is the ceiling of this team, and have we really seen it? I also think it's extremely beneficial, just infinitely beneficial that they got to play Tennessee this year with Hendon Hooker, because I think that offense really is going to prepare them for this first matchup against Ohio State. So not only do they get the film from Michigan against Ohio State, but they also had this matchup against a Tennessee team that was at full health, was extremely explosive and focused, and they were able to handle them. And so now you get an Ohio State team that I think has a similar offense to Tennessee. And so I think you can kind of take a few things away from that and translate it on to this first matchup for them. Michigan ran for 252 yards on 7.2 yards per carry against Ohio State. Ohio State, if you give that up against Georgia, you're going to give up 50 and you're probably going to lose by 30-some points. Like, you cannot do that again. Georgia, on the other hand, feed your running backs the football. Run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. Use play action, attack their secondary once they put too many guys in the box, and you're going to have a lot of success. I fully expect Georgia to have a lot of success against Ohio State. I fully expect Stetson Bennett to feel really comfortable in this game. And so the only question is, can they just not give up the explosive plays to Ohio State? Because if they don't give up those explosive plays, they should be able to cruise in that first matchup. That leads you into the College Football National Championship, in which they'll take on a potential team like TCU or Michigan. Michigan is kind of that team that kind of looks very similar to Georgia. On paper, they kind of do similar things. TCU kind of looks like Ohio State or like a Tennessee, that kind of offensive structure. So for me, Georgia's biggest things are third down, be great on defense. That third down defense, which they have been all year, 26.7% is the conversion rate they allow defensively. And then the red zone, this is just a crazy stat for them. 17 scores on 28 chances, only 9 touchdowns on 28 chances in the red zone. That's fantastic stuff, and that's just the marks of a great, great defense, and that's what you have with this Georgia team. So last year, I think a lot of people were a little nervous about Stetson Bennett, right? They were nervous about how would he play in the biggest games in the college football playoff. Would he be able to lead this team? And he completed 66% of his passes, 537 yards, 5 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. The guy was efficient. He took care of the football. Yes, he wasn't setting the world on fire. I'm not sitting here telling you Stetson Bennett was going for 500 yards against Bama in the college football playoff. No, he wasn't. But he did every little thing right. And every time they needed a third down, he was converting. Every time they needed just him to complete a pass, he was doing so within the offense. And if he continues to do that, if he translates what he did last year to this year, once again, they're going to be very tough to beat because it seems like he's only getting better. And he played great against LSU this past weekend. And so now I'm just sitting here going, okay, if he continues to just get better and feel even more comfortable in this offense with the weapons they have around him and the run game that they have, they're going to be tough. They're going to be tough with that defense to kind of lock in on. So I think for Georgia, it's going to be very important. Run the football, put Stetson Bennett in favorable positions like they did a year ago, And then also, of course, rely on your defense at the end of the day to go win you games. And of course, that defense has to continue playing at the level that they have for the past, 4 years? They've been terrific under Kirby Smart. Longer than that, really. They've been awesome defensively. And I think you give Kirby Smart a whole month to prepare. I just think this defense is going to be really, really tough for anyone to score on. And I'm looking extremely forward to his matchup versus Ryan Day, that coaching matchup in the first round, to figure out, okay, this offensive mind, how does he go about attacking this Georgia defense? It's going to be fascinating, as will the national championship. But like I said, Georgia is currently my favorite. If they do the things that they did all year long, it should give them a great opportunity to end up winning the national championship at the end of the day. So that's it. That's my How Do You Do It feature. How do you win the national championship with these 4 teams? Excited for the college football playoff. Of course, later on next week and the weeks to come, we'll preview some bowls. We'll talk more about the college football playoff and more here on Crystal Ball College Football. But thanks for listening today.